It was a stormy night and it was heavily raining. I was returning home on my scooter when I heard people behind me shouting, and it seemed like they were stalking me. I could distinctly hear a female, and she sounded close. I tried not to let it bother me at first, but it was impossible. I shot a quick glance behind me, and I was being chased. There was a woman, and she was holding a knife, just a few meters behind me. She menacingly smiled at me, which gave me a jerk, and because of the rainfall, my scooter skidded and I fell down on the wet asphalt. I turned on my flashlight quickly, and my stalker was still pursuing me. She saw my face from the flashlight and seemed alarmed, and then she ran off into the darkness. I scrambled to take a photo, but my shaky hands, filled with panic, mixed with the darkness, only got me a blurry shot of a blue sweater and the knife she was holding. The next day, I told my cousin about what happened. A look of horror came across his face. He told me that a girl had recently asked him out, but he declined, and she didn't take it well. The woman couldn't see my face clearly originally, and maybe that's why she ran after seeing my face finally lit up from the flashlight. What my friend said next shocked me. Apparently, this was the fourth incident of her mistakenly chasing someone else. I'm glad I survived that night and got away with only a few scratches. However, I can't stop thinking about the fate of whom she might try to attack next. I am a Chinese international student living in Sydney, Australia. I am studying animation and property investment, and I work hard every day. I remember one summer evening in 2021 when I had finished my report and decided to go for a drive to relax. I drove outside the city and found myself on a road surrounded by a national park up north. It was quite dark, and without the car lights, visibility was poor, creating a somewhat eerie atmosphere. After a few minutes, I began to slow down as the road became more winding due to the mountainous terrain. It was during this time that I noticed a white figure in the middle of the road. Feeling startled, I stopped the car, and feeling a mix of fear and frustration, I exclaimed, "What the hell are you doing here, asshole?" However, upon closer inspection, I realized it was a crying girl in need of help. Not knowing how to handle the situation, especially involving a young girl, I allowed her to enter the car and sit in the passenger seat. She appeared frightened and requested that I drive her somewhere. As I continued driving, I didn't notice anyone behind the car. During the journey, I attempted to communicate with her and asked her where she wanted to go, but she seemed unable to understand or respond in English. She was a Caucasian girl, around 17 years old, dressed in a high school uniform. Despite my attempts to engage in conversation, she remained visibly anxious for about 30 minutes. At some point, she expressed her desire to call her mother, and I handed her my smartphone. However, she spoke in a language unfamiliar to me, which I assumed was her native tongue. For the remainder of the car ride, we did not exchange any more words. I contemplated contacting the police as the circumstances seemed suspicious. It was unusual for a young girl to be out alone at such a late hour. Additionally, I noticed that she was not wearing shoes and did not have a school bag, leading me to believe she may have been kidnapped. I decided to stop at a 24-hour gas station to buy some food for her. Before leaving the car, I quickly glanced inside to ensure she was all right. To my surprise, she was no longer there, leaving only some water or liquid on the left seat of my car. Despite the absence of any other vehicle at the gas station, it was baffling to wonder where she could have gone. I immediately contacted the police, and they thoroughly inspected my car. However, they were unable to provide any answers. Something strange caught my attention while checking my phone. I discovered a phone number. I called the number, hoping to reach the police. To my dismay, a woman on the other end cried and accused me of being a liar, insisting that I shouldn't call back. A week later, I received a phone call from the police with a chilling revelation. They informed me that a Greek immigrant family had lost their daughter, who had been kidnapped and murdered by her boyfriend 30 years ago. Astonishingly, the police mentioned that she was only 17 years old at the time of her death. This left me wondering about the girl I had encountered that night, someone who seemed so real but was apparently connected to a tragic incident from the past. I never saw her again.